Greetings, Wanderer. This is Atlas here, and welcome to The Void. Today I'm going to be reacting and breaking down a song called "TOUHOU of the Shining Needle, Little Princess" from TOUHOU 14 double dealing character. That is a mouthful indeed. This is the winner entry of one of my latest polls that I did in Patreon, and as you can see here, it won fairly almost for a little bit more than a double the votes over Inazuma from Genshin Impact. Alright, so I don't know anything about this other than it's a video game, and it's I think it's like a shooter, a vertical scroller shooter bullet hell kind of thing, as far as I could see in my research. Alright, but before we begin, I would like to invite you to listen to my latest track, which is a Berserk inspired track called "Conceived in Blood", which is the song that you have been listening in the background of the intro of this video. So if you like what you hear so far and you would like to hear the full song, I'm gonna leave it in this card right here, but also in the description of this video, right? And with that being said, onward. Okay, so this is going to be "TOUHOU of the Shining Needle, Little Princess" from TOUHOU 40 double dealing character. Boom. Pulling a D beat from the get-go. That's interesting. Also, the guitar sounds extremely emulated. Like I was imagining playing that in the guitar. Obviously, it's like in the piano. I like that pattern. It's pretty cool. Oh, it's really going for it. Here goes the T-beat again. Listen to how the piano is just shredding in the background. Oh, dear Lord of Sim. What's the tuning of this guitar? I've heard like really low notes. Could be like B or A. Although I don't think this is a real instrument. It sounds like an emulated guitar in a synthesizer or something. But I could be wrong. Yeah, very straightforward pattern. It drums as standard as you can be. Listen to the snare, this is crazy. That arpeggio on the piano, that pattern is pretty cool. Some cool accents in here. Probably we could make a transition. Yeah. It just the D beat just cracks me up. That's straight from a punk band or something. That's pretty cool that the piano pattern is just in the background, but it's still the same one as we heard before. And these sort of brassy synthesizers come in. Okay, apparently this just loops over and over again after this. Alright. You know what? I kind of have the feeling that this game, it's like an open source kind of thing. Because not only by the composition itself, because it sounds like community made or something like that. But also, I saw a little bit of a footage of the video game, and it has that design DIY kind of thing going on, right? So it wouldn't surprise me like the composer or composers of this video game are actually part of a community or something like that, because certainly the video game looks like, you know, it's sort of if it is not open source, it's like something very niche, you know what I mean? There's quite plenty of things that I would like to talk about this, but I am going to focus mainly, of course, in the sort of the chord progressions that we hear in the electric guitar, but there's not a lot going on there. Most of the things that we hear are in the piano, of course, sort of a leitmotif that we hear in the synthesizers and whatnot. And also, it's very interesting arrangements in the drumming, of course. So probably we're going to be talking about that too. So let's break it down. Alright, so naturally for this breakdown, I'm using my electric guitar. And you know what's crazy is that, I figured out that the song is actually, yes, like tuned in A, which is really, really heavy, a really heavy tuning, because, like, for example, for extended range instruments like this 7-string guitar, they come tuned in B, which is a whole step above the actual tuning of the guitars in this track. So that actually makes them really heavy. Obviously, as a reference, think about a band like Korn, all right? Korn tunes their guitars in A, a standard A. I have it in drop A because I don't want to tune the whole guitar in A. So it's easier just for the sake of the riffs to tune it in drop A. But I mean, it's super heavy. Listen to this, like. It's it's really, really heavy. Now, of course, in the song you don't hear it that heavy, because obviously it's not insanely saturated, it's not insanely distorted. And also I figured that the electric guitar in the song is used more as a percussive kind of impactful thing instead of actually carrying the song in a more I don't know how to say it. It's more used in a percussive way, I would say, because it lands very much with accents and snare hits and whatnot. And the synthesizers do like the heavy lifting for the most part. But when you hear the guitar, go towards the lower register, which is the most of the time, I would say, which are those riffs. It sounds really, really heavy. So I'm gonna play a little bit of the intro of the guitar, and then the leitmotif or the main melody that we hear at the beginning. So yeah, as you can hear there in basically the intro of the track, the guitar, the chord progression in the guitar is basically a very straightforward chromatic chord progression, and it's very very rhythmic, very percussive. That's why when I say it's called very percussive, because it serves very much towards the accents that the song, that the composition is doing. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's still very, very percussive, very rhythmic, and on top of that, of course, it's playing the, the leitmotif of a song or the main melody of a song, which is something like this. This is actually very accurate. I was able to do it very accurately. So this is the melody. So yeah, that's basically the main melody of a song, and then it does a variation where I think it plays it in like another key or something. For what I'm really sure, I'm still really sure, is that the guitar sounds insanely heavy, or it's tuned in an insanely heavy tuning, because instead of having more of that rhythmic thing, let's say that you would hear this while the main melody sounds. You hear so how it sounds so massive with that tuning. It's insane. And like I said before, that's the tuning that well, not exactly this tuning, but Korn uses 7-string guitars, and they tune to A, standard A, not drop A. But yeah, pretty heavy, right? Okay, so I suppose that to finalize my commentary, I would like to say that for the most part, like, the tuning in the guitar very heavy, since the guitar is not really extremely saturated and whatnot. It's used more to give accents towards apologies, more as a resource to enhance the accents in the track. It's very percussive in some parts, and also all the synthesizers arrangements and whatnot is what actually makes the song very lush and whatnot, including the piano arrangement, which I really couldn't figure out in one sitting what the hell is going on there, but for what I can tell, it's like a pentatonic thing mixed with some probably major and minor arpeggios in the thing, in the pattern. Another thing is that the drums are, very rock metal oriented. Like, it's very especially, which was very funny in a way, not because it's bad or anything, but it's more of I don't know. It's just something that you don't expect, in video games and whatnot. It's using like D beats and stuff like that. And if you look it up a little bit about the D beat, you will see that it's very much like a punk pattern. It comes straight from punk, and then it was more it was more developed towards the in genres like hardcore and grindcore and power violence and so on and so forth. All right. Which is that the pattern that you hear, that is, yeah, that pattern is like that pattern is like all, it oozes all over the punk, rock and hardcore and even metal realm, because the metal is very influenced by punk. Even though people might not want to accept that, but that is true. So yeah, the other thing is that I suppose that the length of a track and the variations that are in the composition certainly should fit what's going on in the video game. And for I was able to see in the video game itself, it's like a bullet hell kind of setting, right? A vertical shooter bullet hell kind of thing. So it makes sense that you would have these long sections in the composition that, like we hear, like the one we hear in the piano, which is this long section in the piano doing that pattern, but then it goes in the background, still doing the same pattern, but with the synthesizers on top, because probably that goes along with, you know, the longer sections in the shooter itself. At the same time, I still believe that this composition and this game seems to be like a more of DIY niche community kind of open source, even maybe kind of game, but I could be wrong about that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give this track a silver badge. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and share it with your friend. Also, please don't forget to visit my Patreon, my Ko-fi profile, and my Ko-fi store in case you want to support my work further, and my Teespring merch shop. And of course, ex nihilo nihil fit.